What's up, everyone? Today we actually had some pretty crazy news all over the market, and we actually saw some of these powerhouse stocks like Apple, Nvidia, and a couple other ones finally show signs of weakness. So we have a lot of opportunity creeping up in the market. Make sure to stick with us all the way to the end to hear all the setups for tomorrow. And at the end of the video, we have a $750,000 trade. But before we get into it, here's just a nice reminder that tomorrow is actually the last trading day of the week. The market will be closed on Friday for Good Friday, so let's make tomorrow count.
Yeah, exactly. Good Friday. We will not be trading, so keep that in mind. And looking at the economic calendar for the rest of the week, Mike, it looks like on Friday, even though the market's going to be closed, we're still going to get those unemployment rate and those non-farm payrolls coming out. So keep your eyes, on the market. Obviously, Sunday night, whenever futures open, I feel like this could really maybe hit there. And, who knows? We might actually even see some futures trading throughout the day. And I'm sure like Forex and stuff like that might go a little bit crazy. So we'll have to see how some of those end up going Friday. But for the rest of the week, nothing really crazy. Bullard is speaking tomorrow. So keep that on the radar at 10 a.m. Eastern time. But other than that, Mike, it was a pretty bloody day in the market. The SPY had a pretty bad drop. We ended up falling under that 407.50 support, which was huge that we talked about yesterday. That support had a ton of bounces there. And once we got below there today, SPY and a bunch of other big tech stocks started selling. So like you mentioned, some of the big ones were Apple, but I did notice a lot of these growth stocks took big plunges as well. Like AI was down 15%. CHPT or ChargePoint was down 6%. Even Shopify had a pretty bad 5% drop today too.
Yeah, I mean, let's take a look at that heat map. It was so much, I would say it was a good amount of selling in so many different industries. Like, we saw like some of the health stocks hold up in a decent way, and some of the energy stocks held up decently, but a lot of the tech stocks and a lot of other industries really suffered. And honestly, I'm not really too surprised. We've been talking about this for some time now, and it's like when you're up so much over the past couple months, especially with stocks like Nvidia and Apple and AMD and all these other ones, it's like it's just a matter of time before you pull back. And a lot of times the pullbacks don't just last one day. And it's like normally they could last, anywhere from a couple days to a couple weeks, or and in some rough situations, a couple months. So, I'm not surprised we're seeing this pullback now. I think it's a good thing for the market to normalize. And there's actually a lot of opportunity associated with these pullbacks.
Yeah, I agree. The opportunities, especially I think on some of these big tech stocks like Nvidia, AMD, Apple, that have been ripping up to maybe not highs, but they're getting close to highs. Like, I'll be honest, Nvidia got a lot higher than I thought that they would get here on this recent uptrend, up well over like 130% at this point. Man, that drop down today was definitely the start of hopefully a bigger pullback. And then that'll be where we see those big opportunities. So on some of these stocks for tomorrow, we're going to see some pretty big areas of support. Like today, Nvidia was really holding here around this 264 area. That was a big area of support from last week. And, it was a nice probably target for the day for a lot of people who traded the drop under 268, but really watch those areas tomorrow, because these stocks are kind of sitting here consolidating at big supports once again. And like we said, I feel like we could see a multi-day continuation here, and that'll even help other stocks like SPXS and SQQQ as well.
Exactly. You read my mind, Tom. I was just about to say this. So it's like when you have like pullback phases, like what it looks like we're having now, there are so many ways to capitalize off of it. Of course, you can short stocks, you could buy put options, or you could trade these inverse ETFs like SOXS, SQQQ, SPXS. UVXY, like there are so many of them. And basically when the market's tanking down, all the ETFs I listed pop up for the most part. So it's like there's a lot of opportunity in that situation. And, once you get closer to the end of that pullback, you could just buy up the stocks that everyone was panic selling and then, play the same move to the upside. So I'm pretty excited. I like these, I like the points in the market where we have like trend changes, and that's exactly what we're having now.
Yeah, me too. It really creates a lot of big opportunities. I will say for a lot of growth stocks, Mike, it's a little bit scary right now. Like if we go to a daily chart of Nvidia, it's awesome, right? Like it's been pulling back the upside in a huge way. But if we go look at something like Zoom, it's like, oh wow, they had another 3.4% down day today, and they're actually approaching recent lows. So it's kind of weird. We have some areas of the market like Zoom and ChargePoint, for example, lots of growth stocks like that are down around lows. And it looks like they might actually, in like ChargePoint's case here, test or even break the low sometime soon. But Nvidia is just so overextended where it's like these big stocks are going to drag these other smaller stocks down potentially. So I'm hoping some of these growth stocks can hold up, Mike, because they're getting kind of brutal here in a lot of cases.
No doubt. And then, a growth stock that we follow a decent amount is Square, aka Block. And, the stock's been all over the place lately, but that's not necessarily the news for today. There's actually some very tragic news with the founder of Cash App, Bob Lee, and Cash App is owned by Block, where Bob Lee was actually stabbed and killed in San Francisco last night. So from what I read, it was pretty brutal. They have not found who did this, and what's crazy is that this was done in like at least a thought to be good side of town. So it's pretty crazy news, and I thought it was definitely worth bringing up.
Yeah, it's a very tragic situation, obviously. It's never good whenever stuff like this happens. I don't know what you want to call it, a tragic situation, a stabbing, just it's a freak situation, freak accident, I guess. So just be careful out there, guys. It's a very weird situation. I don't think that this is going to really affect the market or affect Cash App or anything like that too much. Just always have your whereabouts with you. Some of these cities in California have been taking a lot of heat lately for having a lot of crime, and to see a big tech executive stabbed in San Francisco is a pretty big deal. So we'll have to see what goes on, Mike. I don't really think it's going to affect Square too much, obviously. Now, what was interesting is that he was actually working with a cryptocurrency company called MobileCoin. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And at least he's been through a lot of jobs with Google, Block, obviously, people like that, but he was working on a crypto there. So pretty interesting. I don't know if that'll affect anything there with the crypto side of things, but it's just a very crazy situation.
No doubt. And then another thing while we're talking about these tech stocks is while we saw, some increased selling pressure from Apple and Nvidia and AMD and all those types of stocks today, Google actually held up better than most tech stocks, and they actually had some pretty interesting news. So what do we have going on there?
Yeah, this was awesome. Google had a nice pop in pre-market, actually, whenever the market was kind of looking shaky. So I like that. And they're actually developing their own chips, and they are saying that their AI supercomputers beats Nvidia's, which is a humongous statement, especially for a big company like Google. So pretty much throughout this article and throughout the whole situation with Google developing their own chips, Nvidia's chips are getting pretty expensive. They've been leading the markets. They've been dominating the AI training and deployment sectors and stuff like that. Obviously, Google's been using a lot of Nvidia's A100 chips as well. They do say that Google's Bard and OpenAI's ChatGPT are powered by those chips, and it requires a ton of computers and capability to be able to run those systems. They're actually saying that Google built their own system now, and seems like they're getting their own chips going. So it's pretty good, Mike. That's a very big thing for Google. It's a bad thing for Nvidia. I don't really expect it to, send Nvidia off to the downside too hard, but it definitely took a big tumble today, that's for sure. And I know a lot of stocks were selling down, but this probably kicked it off early on.
No doubt. Well, with that being said, let's get right into some of these setups for tomorrow. Apple has been on the top of my watch list. It's down a little bit today, but like I said a couple times, it's still so overextended to the upside. Intraday it's been weak, but especially when you look at it on like a daily chart, this is where it gets pretty interesting. And it's crazy to say this, but Apple is literally closer, or twice as close actually, to making a new all-time high than it is to recent lows of 2023. That's weird to say, and it just goes to show you how much the stock has been booming over the past couple of months. And it's like, when you really think about the macroeconomic situation, it's like, does it really warrant a move to the upside like we've seen, and the answer is no. It doesn't, right? And so Apple just overextended as it is, and it's been making lower highs for over the past year now, and that's normally a bearish signal. So I'm definitely looking at Apple to the downside for tomorrow, but even just over like the next couple days and weeks.
Yeah, exactly. It might not, we might actually see a bit of a support bounce, maybe some consolidation tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of these stocks drop down so much intraday. Like look at Apple here. It actually hit 161.80 around the low and ran back up to 163. So I'm with you, Mike. Over the next couple of weeks, so there's a lot of stocks that I'm going to be watching to the downside as well. With the first one here actually being Roblox. So Roblox is going to be one that I'm watching off to the downside. I know Roblox is a little bit closer to lows than, a stock like Apple, for example, who's been blasting up a lot, but Roblox is actually up a lot from recent lows to recent highs as well, up 87%. So I'll definitely be watching this one for a possible pullback as well. And what I like about Roblox is that they're in that growth sector. So, a lot of those growth stocks have been getting hit really hard today and over the past couple days. So I'm going to really watch this one for a possible pullback down to like 44, maybe even 40 over the next few weeks if these sell-offs get brutal enough.
Alrighty. Another stock I'm watching is SQQQ. So basically when tech stocks are selling off, SQQQ pops to the upside. It's an inverse leveraged ETF. I know it sounds fancy and complicated, but it's not. Basically, when the NASDAQ is selling off, SQQQ moves to the upside and multiplied by 3. So it's good for like short-term trades, especially when there's some selling pressure in the market. So I'll definitely have a close eye on it over the next couple days.
Yeah, that was a lot of momentum this morning. If those tech stocks take another tumble over the next week or 2 weeks, we're going to see SQQQ, SPXS, SOXS, and a lot of other stocks that follow, that go up when the market falls will probably go insane. So I like it too, Mike. I will say, Mike, this one might not sit too well with you. I know you're a pretty big fan of BABA, and I know that they actually had some good news with China a couple weeks ago, and they were kind of blasting to the upside. What I noticed today is that BABA was really having a lot of problems getting back above $100 per share after they fell under that today. So I'm going to use that big psychological level there as a big overhead resistance. And if I actually see Alibaba fall under, it looks like 97.25, I'm going to look for puts off to the downside maybe tomorrow or over the next couple weeks. It might not happen right away. It might take a couple days, but I will be watching this one down. It has been running up a lot lately, but I will say you got to be a little bit careful shorting the China stocks. They have a bit of a mind of their own. So just because like Nvidia and Apple are falling, I don't necessarily look at BABA to fall because of that, but I will be watching some of these big areas.
All right, good stuff. Well, with that being said, Tom, it is now time for the momentum plays. With the first one, we have Shopify to the downside.
That was a terrible move. Probably one of my least favorite moves today by the growth stocks. Go ahead and make them break under $45 even. They got pretty close to there around close.
With the next one, we have AMD, also to the downside.
Now, I love this one. Let's go ahead and make them break under 91.50, right around that low of day. And I think that they could have a pullback possibly down to 90 or even more.
And with the last one, we have Meta, but we need both directions for this one.
Yeah, so Meta's been doing great lately. They kind of pulled back today a little bit too. If they fall under intraday support at 210, which has also been a pretty big level from the past few days, I will be watching for puts to the downside. If they blast up above 212, which is a big intraday resistance, then I'll watch for calls to the upside. So we have two levels on this one, 210 down and 212 up.
All right, good stuff. So you guys heard Tom. We have that upside level for potential day trade up, and then we have that downside level for potential day trade down. Keep them both on watch, and don't forget about AMD and Shopify. We have those downside levels on those stocks as well. But it is now time for the big money trade of the day. We had $750,000 go into IAU. More specifically, $750,000 went into the IAU 37 strike call options that expire on July 21st of 2023. IAU is another gold ETF. over the past couple of weeks, I've seen so much bullish call flow not only go into IAU and GLD and GDX and SLV and other gold mining companies. It's just like there's like a giant wave of just like buying and bullishness with a bunch of gold related stocks and ETFs. So, for IAU, I definitely wouldn't bet against it. I can see, this one moving to the upside. But what I will say though, not only with IAU, but also for like GLD and GDX, we've seen like a really nice move over the past couple of weeks and months. And we're getting to a point where it's like, we might see a couple slowdowns here and there. GLD and just gold prices in general, they trend. It's like we're talking about gold prices. It's not like we're talking about some crazy penny stock. So it's like, I'm looking more for like a slow grind higher rather than like an explosive, 5% move day after day type of situation.
Yeah, and we've been seeing lately a couple of those big days like that, some big 5% moves. And even yesterday, GLD, it probably wasn't 5%, of course, but, it had a big green candle there on that daily chart. I would almost expect it to maybe look kind of like how it looked last November and December, like I'm kind of circling it here on the chart. Like you can see this did not go straight up, but like you kind of said, Mike, it just trended up very nicely. There was a lot of red actually mixed into that little uptrend here inside of this circle. More red than actually I think more people would even think. But that is a thing with gold. It's pretty volatile in the short term, but I like it how it goes on those trends like that. So I think IAU is a pretty good play. That's a lot of money. 750,000. I know that we've seen bigger plays like that, but that is a lot of money just to go into the 37 calls on this one. And I like it that they have it all the way out to July. They have some time on it. It's not like this has to go up tomorrow either. They'll probably hold it for a little bit, but I don't know about you, Mike. Gold seems like it's getting a little bit overextended right now, and I'm a little bit worried about that play, but gold is one of those commodities that whenever it goes, it definitely goes, especially during weird times like we've been in with inflation and everything like that.
Exactly. That's the thing. So it's like, yeah, it's overextended, but it's also like we're seeing a bunch of people rush into these safe haven assets, whether it's gold and silver or just treasuries in general. So it's like, it definitely is a weird situation. And just like you're circling on the chart right now, it's like in the past when gold uptrends, like these things can last for months and years.
Yeah, like this uptrend here was from pretty much lows of the middle of 2018 to highs all the way around the middle of 2020 there. So that's like two and a half years of just straight uptrend on GLD there with, of course, there's some pullbacks mixed in here and there, but for the most part, pretty good uptrend. So keep your eyes on IAU. That should be a pretty good play for the next few weeks. And I'll tell you, gold has been awesome over the past couple months. It's been one of my favorite stocks to watch. I know we've been talking about it a ton on the channel as well.
You know it. And if you guys are into the more shorter term side of trading and to trade options, definitely check this out. Our bots crushed it today. Our first sniper bot play of the day was an AMD put play that was alerted at $206 each, and it popped all the way up to $370 each by the end of the day. And there was a lot of other plays as well. If we go into the bot plays channel, we did have one loser with Starbucks today, so that was definitely a dud, but we had two other pretty big winners. We had an Amazon put play alerted at $300 each. It popped all the way up to $425 each. And then we had a Netflix put play alerted at $520 each, and that popped up to $700 each. So if you're looking to get access to these bot style trades, check out that first link in the description in the comments down below. Our bots have been crushing it lately. Of course, not every single play wins, but they get smarter and smarter and smarter over time. And I haven't talked about this too much, but we have some pretty exciting new updates coming soon. With the updates, basically all current members get the update completely for free, and then we are going to be raising prices soon as well. So if you're into short-term trading, we have an awesome program for it, and we have some game-changing new updates that are coming pretty soon. So definitely check it out. It's that first link in the description in the comments down below. And to sweeten the deal just a little bit more, you save $41 off your first month using the link in the description in the comments down below. But back to the video, Tom. Tomorrow is the last trading day of the week. We're starting to see these tech stocks pull back a little bit. We're seeing different areas of the market fold where other areas are just holding a little bit strong. Do you have any final thoughts or anything else you're watching going into tomorrow?
Yeah, I will say some areas of the market, like you said, were holding up a little bit better than some others. So I think that maybe watching some of these food stocks right now, maybe like Coca-Cola or Kraft Heinz, or maybe even McDonald's. These stocks had pretty good moves this morning. So, if you're looking for some stocks to the upside, maybe those, maybe even ZOM, but I would really stick with probably like SQQQ and a lot of those ETFs. These things are going crazy right now. Just look at that uptrend this morning. Ended up being up 3%, and you can catch some pretty awesome moves off of some of these ETFs that inverse the market.
All right, good stuff. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to check out that first link in the description in the comments down below. And last but not least, we want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Odin in the Stocked Up Discord. You've been in the chat for over 2.5 years now, and your activity has definitely been increasing over the past 1 to 2 weeks. So definitely make sure to keep it up. And besides that, let's have an amazing end to the week.